Okay, you ready to kick this thing off? You ready to get after this? All right, guys, so today we are going to be making pasta, and then we're going to make a pasta carbonara. So hang around, check it out, and let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our pasta. So we're going to start off with 4 cups of standard all-purpose flour. You should really probably sift this first, but I'm not going to. Okay.
Sift mean? Sorry.
The sift is like when you you run it through like a thing to kind of like separate all the clumps. It gets rid of all the little bumpy stuff in there. We're going to beat the shit out of it for like 10 minutes, so it's going to be fine anyways. But if you don't feel like really putting your back into it, I would sift it out for a bit. A lot of body weight to press down on this with, you know what I mean? So I think we're going to be okay. Okay, so then we're going to take our flour and we're going to build ourselves a little bowl right here in the middle, okay? And in that bowl, we're going to crack 4 eggs.
You're going straight on the counter, huh?
Straight on the countertop. You can use like a board for this, but like wood grain boards, they tend to have little tiny grooves in them, and your dough will get stuck in that. If you use like something like a marble surface or something where you can put down like parchment paper, all good. But you want it to be as smooth as possible, because as this stuff kind of starts to come together, if there's any like imperfections in the surface that you're making your dough on or your pasta on, it'll stick in those little imperfections. So just be careful when you do that. Okay, so we've got 4 eggs in, 4 cups of flour. Next, we're just gonna add in a little pinch of salt. And then about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And in metric, I think that's equivalent to like 3 liters. And then you're just gonna take a fork and you're just gonna start to mix together the oils and the egg that are sitting in your little flour bowl. And then it's gonna slowly like start grabbing onto the flour, and it's gonna start to kind of come together and make like a paste. And as soon as you get like the eggs fully liquefied, you can kind of start mixing in a little more flour. And this is why you make yourself a little bowl. And eventually you're gonna end up with this lump. Yeah, it's gonna be like a little liquidy in some spots and a little chunky in some spots. And you may need to add in like a tablespoon of water or 2, but you really just kind of want to get this all together and keep mushing it together.
Another egg?
I think we might need another egg. We'll find it.
What's the technique?
This process is called kneading. And basically all you're doing is you're taking the your lump that you have here, you're picking it up, you're rolling it over, and then pressing it down, and that's just kind of mix it all together. Treat it like you would your emotions, right? So pick them up, fold them over, and press them down. All right, so we've kneaded this guy for about 13 hours. Kind of started to come together. We had to roll it out a little bit and then kind of keep kneading it because we made a big batch. I didn't have a rolling pin, so I used a beer instead. It works just as good. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw it in some plastic wrap, chuck it in the fridge for about 30 minutes and let it firm up before we run it through the pasta press. So we've got our pasta out of the fridge. It's got about 35, 40 minutes to set up. And that's important to let it do that. Otherwise, if you try and roll it out, it's just gonna rip apart on you. And all we're doing is we're getting it thin enough to where we can run it through the pasta machine. It's very important when you do this to flour the ginger snaps out of everything. Throw flour everywhere. Throw flour at John. It's quite entertaining, actually. And then we're just gonna start to press this guy out. So we're gonna get it kind of nice and flat. And then we're gonna hit it with our well-floured beer. And we're just gonna kind of start to press it out. Now, it's also important to know when you're pressing this down with a beer that this thing is full, and if I press too hard, I'm gonna smash it. All we're trying to do is get it roughly thin enough to where we can run it through the machine. We're gonna start the machine on step 1. Oh, yeah, I guess I should explain what this is, huh?
Probably.
So KitchenAid stand mixer, very versatile, very cool piece of equipment. This is the pasta roller attachment. So it comes with a couple different things. So the first one is, it's literally just 2 rollers and it just presses it down. There's these little steps, and every time you notch it, it takes it thinner and thinner and thinner. Really cool, awesome piece of equipment. And then we have the fettuccine cutter for it as well that we're gonna swap it out to and go to in a little bit. So we're gonna start this off again on step 1. We're gonna run it through, and keep in mind, like as you run this stuff through, it's gonna get thinner and thinner and thinner, so it's inevitably gonna get longer and longer and longer. That's what she said. Hey. So we're gonna go ahead and get it started. I hope I got this thing rolled thin enough. I'm gonna find out.
You gotta get like Italian music in the background.
I could sing if you want me to sing. Okay, so that was the first run through. So I like to do it on like 2 or 3 times, just to make sure to get all the stupid out. And then every couple times you run it through, just chuck a little bit more flour on it so it doesn't stick. If it sticks to the rollers like while it's rolling through, it's gonna shred apart on you and be completely useless. Have you ever had like fresh homemade pasta? You're about to change your whole entire life, my friend. No, I'm sure you've had pasta once, maybe twice before, John. So we've swapped out our roller to our fettuccine slicer. We're gonna chuck a little bit of flour in there just so it doesn't stick to anything. Don't grind your fingers off. That's important too. Step one, don't cut your fucking fingers off. All right, and then we're just gonna feed it right through. You want it to go in straight. If you start to go in at an angle, it will like the whole thing will pull in an angle and you'll end up like with diagonal. It's bad. It's bad news bears. Nice, gorgeous slices of fettuccine. They're gonna be way too long, but that's okay. We can always cut them afterwards. But just having these nice, there's something satisfying about having like a 3.5 foot, 4 foot piece of fettuccine. Well, I saw the Gordon, the Ramsay. He took one like it was like 14 feet long. It was insane. I couldn't do that. Mine would fall apart on me. He has magical Gordon Ramsay powers. Okay, and then last but not least, once you have your fettuccine, toss it, and then take a little bit of flour and kind of sprinkle it over the whole thing, and then toss it again. If you don't, like the wet parts in between the noodles, they'll stick together, and if you let it sit too long, you'll end up with just a clump of pasta as opposed to separate noodles. All right, so now that we've got our pasta made, we're gonna go ahead and get started on the sauce for the carbonara. So we've got a little bit of butter and a little bit of bacon fat. I know that sounds disgusting, but you gotta trust me, it's how you make this. And then we're gonna add in some chopped bacon. We're gonna take some garlic and grate in some garlic. We'll probably do like 2 cloves. Don't grate your fingers because it's terrible.
That doesn't taste good.
No, it doesn't taste good. It's the opposite of good. I mean, my fingers taste good, don't get me wrong. But 1/4 cup to 1/3 cup of aged Parmesan. Aged Parmesan loves you. Did you know that? Okay, now this is where you actually get like the carbonara effect, okay? So you got 1 whole egg. And then 1 egg yolk. We're gonna do the same like splitty maneuver that we did with the pasta. I had this for a reason. 1 egg yolk, 1 whole egg. And then we're just gonna kind of mix this up. Now this is gonna look like straight up poison right now, and it is. But the way this works is this mush gets put over cooked pasta in a hot vessel, not on the heat, but in a hot vessel, and that's what gives you like your carbonara sauce. So we've got our carbonara mush, so now we're gonna cook our fresh pasta. So we've got a rolling pot of water, very thin. Fresh pasta takes like 90 seconds to cook. It cooks super fast, so don't think it takes like the 10, 11 minutes that like a hard pasta takes, but it'll go pretty quick. So it just goes in our hot water. Get your ass in there. Nailed it. And then give it a quick stir. And then this is gonna go for about 90 seconds. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drain it into a colander, and we're gonna keep the pan hot, and then immediately after we put it in the colander, it's gonna go back into the dry pan, and then the carbonara sauce is gonna go in and we're gonna toss it up. Okay, so we're gonna save like the tiniest little bit of this pasta water, like a couple tablespoons. We're just gonna pull it right out, and then we're gonna go ahead and drain the pasta, give it a quick shake in the colander, and then it's gonna go right back into the pan. So if the carbonara gets too thick, you add a little bit of the pasta water in there to kind of loosen it back up. Back in you go. Carbonara goo in. Now we're just using the residual heat that's still in the pan and the heat of the noodles to kind of bring this sauce up to temperature and get it nice and sticky and gooey and awesome.
Wow, it smells really good.
Doesn't it? You smell that? Bam!
Having to make my own pasta, this would have been a very simple dish.
If you can do this with like pasta that you make on your own, yeah, and it takes like 20 seconds. As long as we can get it on there. And then a little bit of flat leaf parsley going right on top. How's that look?
Good.
Ooh, beautiful.
And there we have it. That is our carbonara pasta made from scratch. Date night?
Why is it always about relationships with people?
Because I'm single as fuck. All right, guys, so that is pasta carbonara. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Make some pasta, make some carbonara. It's awesome.
That's an action on Jimmy.
Hot potato. Bacon snacks.
I love carbonara.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I can't believe there's a coyote living in my house right now.
John's not that bad. It's like, oh, hey, what's his name? What's your brother's name again? What's his name? Oh, he's the wild one. Yeah, just call him the wild one from now on.
Is that like chives?
Chopped bacon?
Is that what it is or no?
No, it's
Chopped or onions?
it's bacon.
What's the bacon thing that's chopped? It's like
Pancetta?
pancetta.
Yeah, pancetta is delicious. Right. Pasta surfboard. Do I need a blot? Do I need a blot? It's kind of bready in nature.
So you're also talking very fast.
I need to simmer.
Very
Okay. Looks forward to seeing y'all next time. I can simmer.
You can break that beer, seriously?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Why is it called a stand mixer?
Because it mixes things in a stand.
A stand?
Yeah.
As opposed to the.
Yeah, as opposed to hand mixing.
I thought it's called stand.
Like Stan, like your weird, creepy Uncle Stan.
Similar a little bit.
Okay.
But you're doing a great job, sweetie.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.